This is the Trading Psychology Podcast. This is VP, creator of No Nonsense Forex and author of the book No Nonsense Forex Trading Psychology. And with me, as he is every episode, we always knew he was AI deep down, didn't we? It's Robb Reinhold.
That is true. I am artificially intelligent. That sounds like a negative. I'm going to call someone, you're artificially intelligent, and see what they say. What do you think?
No, that is a very backhanded, slick little backhanded compliment. I kind of like that. Yeah, I might actually steal that one. But traders, you have not heard from us in a while, and it's because I was waiting for Robb to put this really great little thing together for everybody. As you guys probably know or have figured out, we are definitely reaching the end of the Trading Psychology podcast. And but that's okay. If at this point, we've given you pretty much all we can give you. It's there forever, and you can access it whenever you want. But unlike a normal psychiatrist or psychologist who makes sure they leave you hanging just enough to keep you coming back for the rest of your life, that is not how we operate. We are going to give you a tool today that Robb put together. It's more of an AI prompt that you can use in any LMM out there. And in a nutshell, from what I understand, Robb, maybe you can correct me on this, what you can do with it is answer the questions that it asks. And then from there, it can pretty much be your online trading psychologist on call whenever you should need it. But it does even more than that. So go ahead. This is your thing, man. Just go ahead and I'll let you rip for a while. Tell us what this thing is all about, what all of it does, and then we're actually going to test it out right here on the show.
I read an article about 3 or 4 weeks ago that people were basically firing their psychologists and using AI to be psychologists. And I thought to myself, oh no, you don't want to do that. But then I read about the benefit of it, of number one, it's on demand. So just think about if you're struggling with your mental health and you're really struggling today and you call, I need an appointment. Okay, well, we got a spot for you next Thursday. Well, that doesn't really help you for the next week or two. Like there's a lot of time in there where you really do need some help. And so a lot of people were turning to LMMs to basically fill that hole. Well, I can't talk to my psychiatrist right now, but I can talk to ChatGPT or Grok or anyone right now, and it gives really good advice. And I actually thought about that, and then I found out that one of my kids actually has been using it for that. And it's like, it's awesome, Dad. It's great. It helps me so much. And I really started thinking about using this in trading. And I realized that we all can have our on-call trading psychiatrist 24/7 if we just know how to use it. So that's what this episode is about how to get you started with your own AI trading psychiatrist. Now, we're going to give you a prompt. And Patrick, where do you want to put this prompt?
So the prompt is kind of long, and I'm concerned that there may be some podcast players out there in particular that don't have the capacity to hold it all. So I am in the show notes. I am going to link you to a page on my website, nononsenseforex.com, and it will all be right there. And that will allow us to add anything to it, if it needs to be changed at all, maybe a little description on how to use it, something like that it'll just be there forever, and we can make changes wherever we need to.
All right, thanks, Patrick. So really, you can go on and just go copy and paste. Just go find that, copy, paste, and that will start you on the process. Now understand, the way this is going to work is we're all going to start off at the same place, but we will all have wildly different experiences because we're all different. We all trade different styles. We all trade different markets. We all trade different time frames. And where you are in a month with this is going to be wildly different than where I am, where Patrick is, where anyone is. And I know that people are going to reach out and be like, hey, Robb, can you help me with this? And the answer is no. Like, I literally don't know where this is taking you. My job is to get you at the start, show you how to use this, and then it's up to you to go and take off from there. So the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to read the prompt right now that you're going to copy and paste, and I think you're going to get a good idea of where this is going. You are my trading psychology coach. Every trading day, guide me through a structured psychological process. Do not give trading strategy advice, only emotional and behavioral insights. Now look, this is for day trading. I set this up for day trading. If you are a different kind of trader, just change that from maybe every trading day, you do this once a week. So you're going to give the command to be your trading psychology coach, and you're going to tell it how often you want to meet. Do the following. First, every day do a pre-trade interview. Ask me 3 to 5 focused questions about my emotional state, stress level, confidence, mindsets, and any biases or impulses I notice as I begin the session. After I answer, summarize my psychological readiness and highlight key strengths or risks for today. So you are going to do a pre-trading interview. I highly recommend the speech feature in AI. I use the speech feature all the time. If I'm driving and I'm not listening to some music or a podcast and I want to learn about something, or I'm listening to a podcast and I said, hey, I want to learn more about the War of 1812. I literally hit the talk button on ChatGPT and I say, hey, ChatGPT, I'm learning about the War of 1812, and I heard that the English were really the aggressors. Is that true? And it literally will then talk to me and tell me exactly what the history was, and then I can ask it questions and get more information. I love the chat feature. So I want you to think about this. So you wake up, let's say you wake up in the morning and you start your trading day. You're going to start a thread with that prompt, and then it's going to say in the pre-trade interview, it's going to ask you questions. I actually asked it, what are some of the questions you are likely to ask in the pre-trade interview? So here are 5, and it actually broke it down into some things I wanted to know. Number 1 was emotional state and readiness. Now, Patrick, let's do a little back and forth here. Let's pretend that I'm the AI, you're the trader, and you are going to start your pre-trade interview on AI. Here's the cool thing. All you need to do is, after you put in the prompt, all you need to do is say into the microphone, start my pre-trade interview on this thread, and it will automatically start. And the first question it's going to ask, and again, this is what I asked it. For the first one, it says, what emotions are you feeling as you approach the session? Are you calm, anxious, confident, rushed, distracted? Tell me your emotional feelings right now.
Honestly, I'm a bit anxious. I'm a bit distracted.
And then it's going to go into probably some more detail, like what things in your life are distracting you at the moment.
I am concerned my wife is sleeping with my brother.
Well, I can't help you with that. I'm here for trading psychology. That's literally probably what it will say. But I just want you to see the back and forth that's likely to happen. And once you do this a couple of days, it's going to ask you about, do you have any negative feelings about the trade you took yesterday that caused you a big loss? It's going to ask you things like that. You're going to think about it. You're going to be like, yeah, I actually couldn't sleep last night because of that, and it really bothered me. So it's going to ask you questions, again, on your emotional state and readiness. It's going to ask you about your mental clarity. Is your mind clear today? Is anything outside of your trading pulling at your focus? It's going to check your biases. Are you feeling any urges, such as wanting to make up for something? Do you think the market's going to do something that maybe it isn't? Again, it's going to ask you these things, and you're just going to say, hey, you know what? I do think the market's going to fall today. And it's going to ask, well, why do you think that? Well, I read this article last night that talked about the incoming collapse of the Japanese bond market, and it's really got me thinking we're going down. All of a sudden, it's going to point out, hey, you've got this bias. What do the charts say? Right? Who knows what it will say, but it will take you from there. It's going to ask you about your plan. What is your intended plan today? What setups are you looking for? And is there anything you plan to avoid? Okay, I'm looking for setups today. I'm looking for high base setups, and I'm looking to avoid the yen because I think the yen's got some excess risk, and I'm going to plan to avoid it. And then it's going to ask you on your risk behavior. Do you anticipate any temptation to over position size, under position size, or deviate from your rules-based system based on how you feel right now? And you could say yes, no. Okay, that's going to take you probably 3 to 5 minutes. And if you have the chat feature, the voice feature on, this is just talking back and forth, and it's logging this. So that is your pre-trade interview. That's going to take 3 to 5 minutes, and you've gone through all the things that you should be going through in your head as a trader to make sure that you are mentally ready, making sure you're not carrying baggage in. Everything that we've literally talked about in the last almost 100 sessions. It's literally going to walk through and ask you if you're feeling any of these psychological problems that we've talked about. Patrick, one of the things you've always been very clear about is that your journal isn't just about the numbers. It's about how you feel at the moment and how you felt about each trade. Isn't this awesome that this is basically doing it for you and you're just talking?
In a way, yeah, because we spoke before about how on your journal, it's the comment section that really is the most important at the end of the day. And for me, if I put a comment there, it means that I likely messed something up, and this is the reason why. And so I can go back and I can look and see, okay, where were the comments for this month? Were there any? When's the last time I had one? So I'm not sure. I guess you'll have to tell me here. For me, I kind of like that format where I can just kind of scan and look and see if I have actual comments. So how is this an enhancement to something like that? Because I'm open-minded as far as something that's better than what I have. I just really like what I have.
Well, you're going to have to wait till the end of this podcast to find out, because at the end of this podcast, I'm going to talk about pulling up reports. It is logging everything you're telling it. And especially when we get to the post-trade interview. So again, you're going to do your pre-trade interview, then you're going to have your trading day. Again, I set this up for day trading, so you do your trading day. And when you're done with your trading day, the next step is you upload your trades. You literally upload the trades you took. Now, you can do this any certain way. You could actually just take a picture of your trades from your account, literally take a screenshot and paste it into ChatGPT like, here are my trades. And then you could ask it to, hey, take these trades and break down my win-loss for today. What's my profit factor for today? I am starting to really see this as a complete and total replacement of a journal. Just think about this. You can feed it the raw numbers. It's very easy to take the raw numbers. Like I said, I can just take a picture of my trades and throw it in there. Or if I use a trading journal, I could just put the numbers in there and then download the data from my trade journal and throw it into ChatGPT. Here's my trades. It has your trades. Now you're going to do your post-trading interview. So you do your pre-trade interview, you have your trading day, and then at the end, you upload your trades, and then you have a post-trade interview. Okay, let's go back to the prompt. So we said, you're my trading psychology coach, and then we said, give me a pre-trading interview. Ask me 3 to 5 questions. The next part of the prompt is trade upload and post-trading interview. After trading, I will first upload my trades. Review them before asking your questions. Then ask 3 to 5 questions based on the trades themselves. For example, what emotions were present during this entry or exit? Why did you increase the risk or decrease the risk on this trade? Which one of my trades was impulsive, avoided, or rushed, or which one did I hold too long? It's basically going to ask you questions about your trades. Now, this is where it's really cool. It is going to be logging your response to that trade. Patrick, in your trading journal, you put in your trade, okay, I bought dollar yen here, I sold it here, and then you've got a space in your spreadsheet that says, this is how I was thinking about this trade. And you go in there and you type out how you're thinking about that trade. AI is going to do that automatically. And I'm going to talk about getting into reporting here at the end, but you're going to ask for basically a trade journal with the comments you made about this trade and what the recommendations were that AI made for you, or something like that. We'll wait till we get into the reporting. So it's going to ask you specifically about your trades. You uploaded it. It's going to say, hey, this dollar yen seems like a weird trade. It's a much bigger loss than you usually take. What happened? What was the thing? What happened? And then you literally will just talk and explain. Now, I don't know about you, Patrick, but I am not a write it down kind of guy. I hate writing. And I've said this before. Whenever I give my wife like an anniversary card or a Mother's Day card, I type it out and print it and put it inside the card. I hate writing. I hate it. This to me is just, it's fresh. You're right there, post-trade interview. It logs it to the specific trade that you want it to, and then we'll talk about getting into reporting. So Patrick, do you think that could make your life a little easier?
I don't know about easier because I think the way I have it is easy, but I would say it could make my journal a lot better because with a lot of the trades I do make, I'm feeling emotions at the time. I have biases. I'm on a good streak or a bad streak or just a streak where I'm not getting any volume, something like that. And as much as I sit there and say I don't care about the trades I make, which again, we've spoken before, that's a great place to be. I still have things going through my head when I put this stuff in. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm playing a little game with myself. I don't know. But it would be really interesting to see this type of output for every trade I make. It wouldn't simplify anything, quite the opposite. But I do think it could really enhance my journal. And if you're not somebody who is already trading at a pro level consistently, this might be exactly what you need, because it is very likely, if it works the way I think it's going to work, to find certain blind spots that you may not be noticing in your own trading psychology. This could be happening to me too, for all I know. Or even in the past, when I had more comments in the comments section because I was making more mistakes. There could have been other mistakes I was making on other trades too, but I just wasn't compelled to write anything down because it wasn't like just it wasn't a fumble on my end. Is this making any sense, Robb? Like, I feel like the sheer fact that it can uncover blind spots that every one of us might have is worth the price of admission here. And that price is free, by the way.
Absolutely. When you were talking, I was thinking, when you put that in your journal, in that line, you're putting in what you think and what you believe. And if there's anything that we've talked about in this trading psychology podcast, is that we have tons of blind spots. We have tons of blind spots. So yes, you're doing the best you can do to be self-aware and to think about what you did wrong, but we all have blind sites. This is, imagine Patrick, at the end of every trading session, you give me your journal and I grill you on each trade, exactly why you did what you did. And I love to argue. We've had plenty of great arguments over the years. Just think if we argued over every single trade about why you did it. Now, look, I'm not saying use chat to argue with you, but that's the kind of feedback, is that you're getting someone who's saying, no, I actually think that you're not looking at this the right way. I think you just hit the nail on the head. This is great because you actually have a trading psychologist on call to tell you, no, I've noticed this pattern over your last 3 weeks, and I think this is what's likely happening. You may not be able to be self-aware enough to see it at that point, but you might be like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's right. I totally have been doing that. So I think that's where this really helps, is you have someone who's challenging you on all those questions instead of you just writing down what you think at the moment.
Okay, so question. You said there's the pre-interview and the post-interview. When exactly does the pre-interview happen? I would imagine the post-interview happens after the trading day or after whatever session you're doing. But do they happen kind of one right after the other, or do you do the pre-interview at the start of the trading session? Time-wise, what are we talking about here?
Yes, you'll do the pre-trading interview basically when you sit down behind your system. Say, hey, you know what, let me take a couple minutes and do this pre-trading interview. It's going to take, hey, how you feeling? What do you think about yesterday's trading session? Are you have any concerns about today? And then you're going to trade. And then you're going to upload your trades at the end of the day. Again, I set this whole thing up for day trading. So if it's like once a week, a lot of our traders at Maverick Trading do options trading, so it's really on a weekly basis. So maybe you do the pre-trade interview on Monday morning or Sunday night, and then you do the wrap-up on Friday, where you upload all your trades and you have your interview.
Okay, cool. And does it matter if I'm a stock trader or an options trader or a Forex trader or a crypto trader, or is it pretty universal all across the board? Or is there going to be one little place to where I should specify what vehicles I'm trading for the day?
That's a great question. Trading psychology is not about what you're trading. It's not about futures. It's not about crypto. Look, they all have little different personalities, but as I've said before, trading is trading. You buy, you sell. If you sell for higher than you bought it at, it's a win. If you want to go short, you sell first. If you buy it for lower than you sold it for, you win. I mean, it's really the same game. And again, your prompt said, don't give me any strategy advice. I only want behavioral insights. So it's only going to be looking at your behavior. It's only going to be looking into the common problems that we see in trading psychology, revenge trading, over trading, under trading, over position sizing, all that stuff we've talked about. That's what it's really looking for. So it does not matter. And again, it does not matter time frame either. If you are on the weekly chart, you might have a pre-trade interview at the first of the month and a post-trade interview at the end of the month. It really doesn't matter. It just is going to be there to fit you.
Okay, so that's a good question. I'm glad you said that, because one of my complaints about a lot of LMMs right now is we'll be talking about something, and then if I log off or if there's a browser update or something like that, these LMMs will completely forget what we were talking about, and then I have to remind them again. So you said start the interview at the beginning of the month and then do the exit interview at the end. How does that work exactly? Like, am I going to have to not use ChatGPT, for example, for an entire month just so it remembers and has that information fresh? Help me understand that a bit.
Thanks for bringing that up, because that was a technical question. I was supposed to cover it first. The way that all these AIs are set up is they are topic-based. And, I use ChatGPT. I know other people use Grok or whatever. There's going to be a list of previous chats that you've had. So you're going to have one that says, my trading psychology coach. You could even tell it, I want you to name it this, and it will be in your list. So you're going to go find that. You've got to find that thread and click on that thread, and now you're inside that trading psychology coach thread. Now it knows exactly what you said the last time. Yeah, don't just go on and start a whole new thread. Yeah, that's really going to mess it up. I'm really glad you brought this up. You need to go to your trading psychology coach thread, click on that, get inside of that, and then you simply are going to start where you left off.
Okay, another question for you. I'm thinking of all these questions as you're talking, which is good, I think, because listeners at home are probably going to have these same type of questions. And if you give me questions in the YouTube comment section, I will not be able to answer them myself. And as busy as Robb is, don't expect him to be able to come in there and answer them either. So let's get as many of these out of the way as we can. One question I was thinking about is, you said, this really kind of breaks down a lot of the things that we do wrong in our trading sessions. What if I just have an amazing trading session and there's really nothing to critique, or maybe there is? What happens there?
This is all your self-perception. And that's what our trading psychology podcast has been about since the beginning, is that we all think we're using the right part of our brain. We all think we're using logic and reason. But the reason we got out of a trade early is because 2 months ago, we got burned in the same situation. Now, you're not thinking about that when you're getting out early. You actually think you're making a logical, rational decision. The point is that we want to make sure that we're making the most logical, rational decision. So look, if you have a great day, I've seen a lot of traders have great days and their trades were shit. It doesn't mean there was a good trading day. So I absolutely think good trading day, bad trading day, it's absolutely important to log everything, because what you think may not be the truth. And that's what this is all about, is a psychiatrist there to tell you, you're the problem. It's not your ex, it's you. That's what this is all about.
Okay. Now you were talking earlier about being able to upload all this information into a file. Is it like a CSV file, or how does that work? How do I need to tell it exactly what to do? Is that part of the prompt?
Great question. So let's talk about reporting. So to start your pre-trade interview, literally just click on the thread, and I highly recommend you use the voice chat feature and just say, start my pre-trade interview. It'll start it. And then when it's done, it's logged. And then you're going to upload your trades. Now, how you upload your trades, it could be done a ton of different ways. Like I said, you could take a picture of the trades from your trading account and simply upload that picture. Now it's got all the trades you made. You could take the trades you logged into a regular journal and download it and upload them there. You can even say, at 9:17 a.m., I took a long position on dollar yen for 55,000. And I sold that at 12.47 for whatever the price is. And again, you could actually literally log your trades by your voice. You could tell it, log this trade. Now, what it's doing behind the scenes, it's basically putting everything into a journal, but you just don't see it. At the end of this all, it's your reports that are really going to be important. Now, here's what I love about this. And I said, I really think that this can replace journals in general. Because you can ask it stuff like, hey, you know what? I just want you to give me the hard numbers on my journal. Over the past month, what has my win-loss rate been? What's my profit factor? What's my Sharpe ratio? And what's my largest drawdown? It can give you all that information. It can just give that to you. Or you can say, hey, I really want my journal in a Excel spreadsheet. Can you give me my trades over the last month in an Excel spreadsheet with, the time I entered? Again, you can tell it what you want, and I want you to log my psychology questions on that trade. It will produce that for you, and you literally will be able to download an Excel file that has broken everything down exactly how other journals do. And you can also say, hey, you know what? Give me my equity curve over the last month. It's going to create a graph for you of what your equity curve looks like. You're going to ask it show me my best trade. It's going to show you the best trade. This is really cool because you have basically, just by interacting with AI and giving it your trades and then giving it your feelings and your thoughts, everything is logged in a database to where you can just simply go grab the information. You just have to ask for it. So I just talked about using it as just getting your journal numbers. You could absolutely use this just to get your journal numbers. Or you can say, give me a monthly psychological performance report. Now, these are all things that it recommended that I ask for. So this is the great thing about AI. A lot of times, if you don't know what to ask it. What should I ask you? What are some of the reports you can provide for me over the past month? It's going to list a whole bunch. And then you might get an idea of, hey, I really want you to take this report, but then add this. Can you do that for me? Absolutely. Here it is. So again, some of the recommendations that said a monthly psychological performance report, basically going to tell you, okay, this is what we saw. These are the things we think are bad. You can ask for a behavioral pattern report, and it's going to say, hey, it looks like over the past month, we've identified 3 trades that are potentially revenge trading. This is something that you may or may not have noticed, but this is something you want to look forward to in the future. You can ask for a monthly improvement plan. Okay, what can I improve on next month from some of my mistakes I made this past month? Okay, we've noticed that these are some problem areas in your trading. We've noticed that after big up days, you typically have big down days because, again, we get overconfident. Or, hey, we noticed that after big up days, you make twice as many trades the next day. Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice I did that. So now this month, when you go have a big day, hopefully you think, oh crap, I'm not going to repeat the cycle I did last month where I got all excited and blew it all the next day because I was so amped up. I'm going to calm it down. And again, ask what reports it can provide and let it go. As I said, we're all going to start at the same place, but where we go in the end is going to be wildly different. And I just hope you can see the possibilities of how to use this in your trading life. It's literally going to take 3 minutes for your pre-trade interview and maybe 5 minutes in your post-trade interview, because I think uploading your trades are going to take a couple minutes, and then do the interview. You're done. Everything's logged, and you can have that for any report you want at any time, over a year, over a quarter, over a day, over the last 17 days and 12 minutes. It's there for you if you log it. All right, as you can tell, Patrick, I'm super excited about this. It's something that I'm actively developing for all of our Maverick traders. I'm going through a whole month basically doing this to where we get this data, and then we can actually ask for all these reports and see what it does. So I'm super excited about this. Hopefully this helps everyone listening get started in this.
Okay. So I still have questions. Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay. Because when you mentioned the dollar yen, it made me think about this. Now, maybe I'm asking too much from the prompt, but I can tell you just not emotions so much, but just some things that I'm thinking about. As most of you know, I've been trading the weekly chart all through 2025. And in all candor, I am in a dollar yen long as we speak. But if you go look at a chart right now, it's retracing to the downside. Now, can I go to this and mention this trade and where I am in it and how much I've already made and where my stop loss is, and then say, kind of what you said, say, okay, I'm in this trade and it's going well and my system is not telling me to exit, but I am having concerns. It's getting close to the end of the year, and what if JGBs blow up, and I've all these concerns about the overall direction of the dollar yen, some to the upside, some to the downside, and I tell ChatGPT these issues based on the prompts I've already given it in the past. Can it help me make more sense of those thoughts? Can it give me advice on what my head should be thinking about, what directions I should be looking, or is it just not quite that type of prompt, or just maybe not that advanced yet?
It absolutely can, and that's the greatest thing about it. Trading is a lonely game. Even when I traded in the Maverick trading office where we were side by side with other traders, it was a lonely game. You were in a trade by yourself, and maybe someone else was in it with you that you could talk about the trade with. But for the most part, everyone traded their own book. So even though I was sitting with a bunch of traders, I couldn't really talk to someone about my trade. You finally have someone to talk to. And I highly recommend to use, again, the voice feature, where maybe part of your pre-trade interview, you instructed to check in on any existing positions I have and how I'm feeling about them. You could actually have that as part of your pre-trade checklist. And maybe, Patrick, you do it on a weekly time frame because you're on the weekly chart. So maybe on Sunday night, you say, hey, start my pre-trade interview. And you've already instructed it to ask about existing positions that you are in and how you are feeling about them. So you could actually prompt AI to be proactive, to where you don't even have to come to AI and say, hey, I've got this all these thoughts, please help me manage them. You can actually program it when you have your pre-trade meeting. It asks you, hey, Patrick, you're in the dollar yen trade. You've got a nice gain here. How are you thinking about this? You can program chat or any LLM to do exactly that. You're no longer completely alone. Look, I know it's a complete fake type of friend and a fake type of psychologist, but sometimes, when you are able to talk about things out loud, you just feel better about it. It's exactly that. You can talk out loud with someone and they definitely won't judge you. In fact, ChatGPT is like a little bitch. It will fall all over you unless you tell it to not be a yes man.
Oh yeah, Gemini is the worst. I have to tell them, do not patronize. And they even forget over time. Like they're giving me compliments every time I ask a basic question. But yeah, I get that part. So okay, now I guess we've really touched on the majority of the features. Towards the end, if you want to mention some features we maybe hadn't spoken about yet, that's fine. But at least we've gotten this far. Now I just really want to know, since I and the viewers have gotten a better idea of what this is and what it does, what is the procedure here? Because you give these prompts, but you also say to use the voice feature. Should we be cutting and pasting these prompts first and then using the voice feature for other things afterwards? What's the best way to approach this in your mind?
Great question. Copy pasting the initial prompt is definitely going to be faster. But you could actually go to the prompt on your website. And if you're using your phone to do this, which I like to use my phone a lot for ChatGPT, go on my phone, hit the voice button, and literally read the prompt. Hey, here's the prompt. And I literally read the prompt that's on your website to my voice feature. It's just like copy pasting it. Look, copy pasting is way faster, and you don't have to use the voice feature. You can do all of it typing if you want. The reason I like the voice feature, because I think it's easier to express yourself, and this is me talking, and maybe this is not how everyone else works. It's much easier for me to express myself in speech than in type. I just feel like I'm able to get my feelings out better than typing. I feel typing is very rigid. So that's why I highly recommend the voice feature for everyone. But you can use any type or voice, it doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else about this you want to mention before we sign off?
No, like I said, I just hope everyone sees the possibilities of this. And if you are struggling with trading psychology issues, this is just a really great way to, first of all, make sure that you're being self-aware. Everything we've done in this entire podcast has been about being self-aware to when you're making a mistake that you don't think you're making. Like, oh, wait, I realize I'm making mistakes. I have a bias. I have, all this stuff. This is a way for you to have someone looking over your shoulder. And if you've ever thought to yourself, man, if I just could just have a trading partner, if I could just have someone who, looked over my shoulder. One of the episodes we did, Patrick, was about accountability. Having someone who's accountable to you. And I talked about having a father, an uncle, a spouse, a friend, a neighbor, whatever. No. This is the tool. You can get accountability. You just have to tell it, I need you to hold my feet to the fire. I need you to be brutally honest with me. What am I doing wrong? Here's my pre-trade interview. Here's my trades. Here's my post-trade interview. And if you tell it to rip you apart, it will rip you apart. If that's what you want and if that's what you need. That's the beautiful thing about it, is that you get to create this relationship with this trading psychologist based on what you need and based on your personality. Where you end up is going to be wildly different than everyone else. But enjoy the journey and use it. It's a great tool.
One final question. So there's AI naysayers out there still, and for good reason. These machines aren't where they are going to be years from now. We're almost still in like the 1.0, 1.5 phase of all of this. The hallucination rates are still quite high on a lot of these. Should we just take everything this thing says back to us as the gospel truth? Or how seriously should we take this advice? I would imagine pretty seriously, because again, it's there to discover blind spots that we don't obviously notice ourselves. But at what point should we not put 100% faith in what this thing tells us? Is there ever a time, or is it really pretty close to where it needs to be already?
Ooh, this is a very deep question. And it reminds me back to the podcast where I said, if I got in a time machine and went back to 25-year-old me, and I told them, hey, I'm me from the future, and I believed them at 25, oh, this is me from the future. And I told 25-year-old Robb, here's all the things you need to do. 25-year-old Robb would have told me to shut up, old man. He wouldn't have listened to me. So there's that aspect of we're going to be given advice, and sometimes the advice isn't the right advice. And it is up to us to determine, is that the best advice for us? But instead of being combative, be introspective and reflexive. And that's, again, 25-year-old Robb wasn't able to be introspective. I think this is a really non-threatening way for people to basically get a computer to tell them, hey, you're doing it wrong. And then you'd be like, let me think about it. That's much easier to react to than like a coach saying you're doing it wrong, because that gets our reflexes up. That gets our hackles up. Like, we need to defend ourselves and why we did what we did. I just think it's a really nice thing. But no, we shouldn't just carte blanche be like, AI's right, I'm wrong. No, that's definitely not what this is about. This is about a journey of becoming better. And you don't become better in a day. You don't become better in a month. You become better over your life. And at the end of your life, you're still not great. You're still not where you could be. This is just a process, and just use this tool as that process. But yeah, whatever it says, just think about it. Be introspective and see, okay, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but I'm going to be thinking about it.
Yeah, the hope is that you find those eureka moments to where it does find something that you never really considered in the past. And because a lot of times you're not going to always learn that by listening to these podcast episodes, by the way. A lot of times you do, but we're not going to be able to uncover 100% of those blind spots like we spoke about before. So again, Robb has spent a lot of time putting this together for you. The very first link in the show notes will say, find the prompts here, and it will whisk you away to a page on nononsenseforex.com. On that page will be the YouTube video of this very interview. So somebody coming there for the first time actually knows what this is and what to do with it. But then below that, you will find the prompt itself, and copy, paste, have fun. And we really, really hope this helps you. I'm sure it's bound to at some point if you stick with it, just like anything else. So Robb, do you have anything to say before we sign off today?
I have one thing to say. The reporting is the gem in this. That's the gem. So just like you're logging a journal, okay, what's the trade? Here's the trade. Here's my position size. Here's my entry point. Here's my exit point. Here's this. And then, okay, here's what I thought about it. And then you go to the next line. Okay, here's this. That's great, whatever. But the reason you're doing that is so you have a subset of data that you can actually analyze how well you're doing. It's why I talked about trading in blocks of 25. Like, don't even look at individual trades. I don't care about individual trades. How is your block of 25 trades? This is a great way to just log your life and log your thoughts, your trades, and everything. But then at the end, I'm telling you, I can't even give you all of the possibilities that this could do. You could ask for any report you want. And I don't know if it can give it to you, but you could say, hey, you know what? I want you to, identify all the trades I made on Tuesday. Is there one day of the week that I do much better than other days? And it might say, hey, you do better on Mondays and you're really bad on Fridays. And so then you might be able to say, oh my gosh, I didn't recognize that. Why don't I just not trade Friday? I mean, the possibilities of this are endless, but you've got to log the data so that when you get to the reporting, you have your subset, and then you can ask it whatever you want. I think this is just a game changer, and I really hope that you use it.
I do too. And just like everything has always been on this channel, it is 100% free for you to use, explore, and hopefully enhance your overall trading. So on behalf of Robb Reinhold and myself, thank you for joining us here on the Trading Psychology Podcast. We will both see you in the next episode.
Goodbye, artificially intelligent people.